This segment of Westlake Live is sponsored by the Blue Buffalo Company Natural Veterinary Diet. SLA Video Productions presents from the beautiful Westlake Community Services Center in Westlake, Ohio. It's Westlake Live!
Our next segment is going to talk about your relationship with your veterinarian, and also maybe Alice is just going to give her take on whether you should get pet insurance or not, because like our expenses are going up, so even to take your animal to be examined or have a procedure done can start running into a lot of money. So go ahead and discuss that.
A couple words on that. You know, vaccinations are absolutely necessary in dogs. That's how we've gotten rid of distemper. That's how we've gotten rid of rabies. But having said that, your dog actually needs a physical examination when it's getting that vaccination, okay? It needs a hands-on. I mean, how do they know if the lymph nodes are enlarged or not? Unless they put their hands on the pet, okay? So make sure, I mean, a vaccine clinic is great, but they need a good physical exam every year. And as your pet gets older, blood work every year, what we call a CBC, which is a complete blood count, and profile, which checks kidney and liver. I start doing that on mine. Well, I have rescue Goldens, probably about age 6 and above, once a year. And on my 14-year-old, well, when she sees me coming at her with the needle, it's probably like every 3 months. But the reason she is 14 and has lived through 5 types of cancer is because I'm on her all the time, okay? So preventative. Pet insurance, I'll tell you when that works best. When you have a major surgery like a ruptured cruciate, okay, God forbid, or God forbid the pet gets hit by a car, that's when my clients have told me that pet insurance has really kicked in. I don't know that it does a lot for routine visits, and they only cover certain meds. And I know when I've had to put the code in for certain meds like skin lymphoma, okay, they didn't know what that was. So they wouldn't pay for that, and I had to call and vouch for that. So it needs improvement. There's more companies coming out every day with it. I think it's going to be good in the future. Right now, it's kind of just trial and error.
We're lucky in Cleveland that we don't have that many natural disasters like fires or extreme flooding, but there are house fires or other things that can happen. So maybe give us some tips on disaster planning.
Sure. Addie and I were talking that the fire department and Pet Supplies Plus and Amazon, you can buy those little stickers for your door that says, "Attention fire people, I've got how many dogs, how many cats in here." And those are great as long as you keep them up to date. Okay, if God forbid you lose a dog, change that 2 to 1, because you don't want to lose a human life going in there for that second dog that doesn't exist. Secondly, make sure your neighbors know what pets you have. And I'll give you an example of that. My technician had a fire in her house in Strongsville while they weren't home, something with the gas stove. She had just adopted a rescue, and it was in a cage under her kitchen counter. Well, when the fire started, the little dog just took off, okay? Get the heck out of there, because he could. But this other one was in the cage. So 5 company fire trucks came from all over. Thank goodness her neighbor came over and said to the fireman, "Hey, did you get the dog that's in the cage there?" And he said, "Ma'am, I can't go back in, it's smoky." She said, "Listen, if I tell you exactly where it is, will you go in?" She said, "It's under that kitchen counter where the bar stools are." He crawled in there on his hands and knees and dragged that cage out because the neighbor knew where that dog was. Now that dog, what a horrible death, to die of fire in a cage that you can't get out of. So it's important to know, for your neighbors to know how many animals you have, and are they confined to a cage? Because most pets in a fire will make their way out, especially cats. So, if they can get away, that's a good thing. But when they're confined somewhere, the neighbor needs to know about that.
Or even if you know something is coming, like if you have a tornado warning, then maybe get a carrier so your cat, you can throw them.
You've got to prepare, because they'll take off. They're terrified. In Florida, a gal that I know, there was a hurricane coming, and she had everybody with her in carriers, and she was in her bathtub with them. And thankfully, because they were just shaking, they were just terrified, as she was as well.
Okay. Then there's the thing that we're calling human error that can affect your animal's health. For example, if you're a smoker, your animal's going to be affected by that, or
Yeah.
lawn products, fertilizers or weed killers or whatever. So maybe go into that a little
Addie
more.
and I were talking about that the other day. There are some studies that prove that pets in a smoking home develop lymphoma more than pets in a non-smoking home, okay? And also, weed and feed. The Scotty Club of America funded a study showing that bladder cancer is a result of weed and feed in that breed and also in West Highland Terriers. And I'm sure in other low carriage dogs where their little, pee-pee unit is very close to that ground. And I know they spray it and tell you to keep the dog off 24 hours, but come on. That's not off there in 24 hours. Plus it gets absorbed into the groundwater. The dog's walking on wet dew grass in the morning, comes in, licks their feet, and there they've ingested it. So those two areas, smoking and pesticide, herbicide, have been tied to cancer scientifically. There's no question about it.
This segment has been brought to you by the Blue Buffalo Company Natural Veterinary Diet. Love them like family, feed them like family. And we want to hear from you. Contact us online or through social media with ideas and suggestions for future content. Also, you can help us enlighten and inspire others by sponsoring one of our video podcasts or any of our content.
Thank you for watching Westlake Live Outside. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and also support our sponsors. Thank you.
Indoor cats and obesity are like this. And by the way, 60% of our pets in this country are obese. 60%, that's huge. Make sure they don't belong to someone else. Have them microchipped. Get them to the vet and get them updated on their vaccines, because you don't know, have they been exposed to rabies? So they've got to get vaccinated right away. And then once you vaccinate and buy that license for that dog is yours legally. Unfortunately, the state of Ohio ranks very low as far as laws against animal abuse. In the state of Ohio, a dog has to have food, water, and shelter. That's it.